One day, more than a decade ago, Ernie Rodriguez visited his friend Dave in the hospital. Dave was recovering from a blocked carotid artery.
I remember walking into that room, and there is a weight to the room. It's like, I want to get out of here as quickly as I can. I really don't want to be here very long. As I looked around, it's like the walls were bare, the curtains were white, and there was this little TV off in the distance. And I remember saying to him, Dave, I said, they didn't even give you binoculars to watch TV with.
It was after that visit that Rodriguez had his epiphany.
I left visiting him in the hospital, and we went up to the redwoods to go hiking. I felt so nurtured by the forest. I'm sitting in this little clearing and thinking about Dave laying in that hospital room and thinking about how you would think you would feel anxious in the forest. Yet it was such an extremely opposite feeling that I thought, my word, why can't hospitals feel like this? Why do they have to feel like the creepy places that they are?
And even today, Rodriguez physically recoils when he visits a hospital.
My whole body tenses up when I walk into a hospital. Bleak is the word I think that describes most hospitals.
And so it may seem surprising that Rodriguez spends so much of his time in hospitals. It's because he's on a mission to help transform them. He wants to change hospitals from places where sterile rooms and life-saving medical equipment often scare patients and make their stress hormones soar. He's convinced hospitals need to recapture their role as centers for healing. And he thinks photography is key to that goal.
Photography has the power to transform. I think it has the power to heal people. We're such visual creatures. Come on this way, down this little trail.
We're in a eucalyptus grove overlooking Lover's Cove, a marine preserve on California's Catalina Island. The water looks as clear as when Doris Day filmed the glass-bottom boat here in the 1960s.
So the fun part is doing the photography.
A cruise ship floats in the cove like a giant piece of flotsam.
Now I'm going to tilt the camera up 30 degrees. I'm going to go around a circle.
Rodriguez is a world-class photographer whose work is exhibited at the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C., but his real passion is exploring the natural wonders of the world. He brings back images of staggering beauty.
And then the canopy of trees up above us.
Rodriguez is onto something. There's scientific evidence to back up his belief that photography has the power to heal. After his epiphany in the California redwoods, he returned to his home on Catalina Island and stumbled on the work of a scientist named Roger Ulrich. Ulrich compared recovery rates of two groups of patients who had their gallbladders removed. Both groups had window views, but one group healed faster. The difference? The patients who recovered more quickly looked out windows onto lush green trees. The patients who took longer to recover, their windows looked out on a brick wall.
The first thing they teach you in medical school is that the body heals itself. So in order for that to happen, really, you can't be under stress because stress releases other hormones that don't let the body's healing mechanism kick into place.
Ulrich's seminal study was published in 1984. It was the same year that biologist E.O. Wilson famously argued that humans are biologically wired to have a positive response to nature. It's the flip side of the stress response. The scientific evidence about nature's role in reversing stress launched a major rethink of hospital design, one that encouraged the introduction of hospital greenhouses and rooftop gardens, all of which made Rodriguez wonder,
well, what if we show pictures of nature to people? Does this have the same phenomena? Lo and behold, it does.
but how to put this idea into action?
Then the light came on. It's like, somebody saying, that curtain that goes around the patient bed is the thing that is so influential in the feeling of that room because it walls you off from other people. And what if there was a nature scene on that? Would that be beneficial to people?
Rodriguez figured out how to transfer giant photographs of nature scenes onto curtains for hospital emergency rooms, to literally surround the patient with natural beauty. But he had no idea how to introduce his idea to the world. Then, one day, on a ferry ride home to Catalina, he met a friend whose daughter worked with Jane Malkin, a world-famous hospital designer, and a pioneer in the campaign to bring nature into the great indoors of a hospital setting.
I mean, I didn't know who Jane Malkin was. I show up like the Beverly Hillbillies in her office in La Jolla, and I've got my prototypes on their arm, and open it up, and her jaw dropped. And she goes, young man, she goes, you brought 40 years of research to life.
At the Catalina Island Medical Center near Rodriguez's home in the town of Avalon, the emergency room has used his hospital curtains since 2004.
So this is what the patient sees.
That's Nancy Mattis, a registered nurse and the chief of patient services here.
Most people are very, very frightened when they come in the emergency room. Just having a curtain like that has such a beautiful view or a scene on it will help people to relax a little bit more.
Rodriguez's latest idea is to print his giant photographs on ceiling tiles so patients can look up at 360-degree views.
So when you're laying there, it's like you're laying in the forest looking up, or you're laying there looking up at under the grove of coconut trees.
And yet, many hospital designers remain skeptical about installing nature scenes.
So you're dealing with this fixed mindset that is the biggest challenge to overcome of people who are in charge of decorating hospitals. Whatever their sensibility is, that's what they're going to do. And never mind the research.
Rodriguez's company, Serene View, is attracting converts. He's won awards for innovation, and major healthcare providers seek him out.
The challenge is something I think about every day. It's like, how are we going to move this forward? And I can see doing this till I'm looking at a curtain myself in the hospital, stepping out.
On Catalina Island, I'm Barbara Paulson for KISL.